Yes.
Jondax?
Make it quick. Of course, very well, very well. Very course, master. Of course, master. Very well. Very, very well. Very well. Of course, very well. Of course, master. Of course, very well. Yes. Very well. Very well. Yes. Yes. Of course, very, very well. Yes. Of course. Make it quick. Of course. Make it quick. Make it very well. Yes. Very well. Of course. Yes. Make it quick. Make it quick. Make it very well. Of course. Yes. Very well. Very well. Yes. Make it quick. Make it quick.
Aye, matey? You're the captain.
Ahoy!
You're the
Ahoy!
captain. I would love to. Yes, captain.
Ahoy!
I would love You're the captain.
Yes, very well. Of course, master.
Yes, captain.
Would you want me to you the boss?
Aye, matey?
Ahoy!
I would love to.
Make it quick.
Arg, I would love to.
You got me? Would you want me to? Don't do the boss. You got me?
Aye, matey?
Ahoy!
Yes. Very well. Of course. Make it very well. Very well.
We're being attacked.
Swobu! Swobu! Sunshine! Lopta! Swobu!
Okay. Make it close.
Lopta! Lopta! Sunzug! Sunzug!
Yes, master.
Sunzug! Sunzug!
Make it quick. Very well.
You got me? Would you want me to?
Aye, matey?
Ahoy!
You're the captain. You're the captain.
Ahoy! Ahoy! Ahoy!
I would love to. You're the captain. You're the captain.
What? Yes. Very cool.
Aye, matey?
Ahoy!
You're the captain. I would love to.
Ahoy!
Make it quick. Of course. Very well. Of course, master. Of course. Of course.
You're the captain. Arg? You're the captain. Arg? You're the captain. You're the captain.
Yes,
captain.
Ahoy! Ahoy!
I will be
Would you
attacked.
want me to? Alright.
Yes, captain.
want
You're
me
the
to?
captain. You're the captain.
Ahoy!
Yes,
You're the
make
captain.
it quick.
Yes, you're the captain. You're the captain. I would love to.
Yes. Very course, master. Of course, very well. Yes, of course, master. Make it quick. Of course. Of
Arg!
course.
Ahoy! Ahoy! I would love to. Ahoy! You're the captain. Ahoy!
What you want me to do? Alright.
We're being attacked. Ahoy! I would love to. Ahoy! 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 I would love to.
Yes.
Yes, Captain. You're the captain. I would love to.
Yes.
You're the captain. You're the captain.
Make it course. Of course. Very well. Of
We're being
course.
attacked. Ahoy! Yes, Captain. I would love to. Ahoy! Ahoy!
Make it quick. Of course. Very well. Of course.
I would love to. Ahoy!
Yes. Very well. Of course. Of course. Make very well. Of
Arg!
course. Well.
You're the captain. Yes, Captain. Ahoy!
Make very
I would
well.
love to. Ahoy! Ahoy!
Yes. Of course. Master. Of course. Of course. Very, very well. Make it quick.
Aye, matey.
John Dax. Alright.
Yes. Make it quick. Make it quick. Make it quick. Of course, very well. Make it very course. Very well. Very well. Of course. Of course. Make it quick. Make it course. Very well.
Aye, matey. I would love to. You're the captain. You're the captain. Ahoy! You're the captain.
What you want me to?
Yes, Captain. You're the captain. I would love to. Arg! You're the captain. Ahoy! Ahoy! I'm the captain. You're the captain. Ahoy! Ahoy! Yes, Captain. Ahoy! Yes, Captain. I would love to. I would. You're the captain. I would love to. I would. You're the captain. I would love to.
What you want me to? Boss. Alright.
You're the captain. You're the captain. I would love to. Ahoy!
John Dax. You got me? Okay.
Arg! I would. You're the captain.
Yes.
Arg! Ahoy! Ahoy! I would love to. I would love to. I would love to.
Yes, of course. Very well. Very well. Of course. Very well. Of course. Very well. Very well. Of course. Very well. Very well. Of course.
Aye, matey. Ahoy! I would love to. Ahoy! Ahoy!
Master. Alright. Okay. Alright. Yes, Master. Yes, Master. Alright. Yes, Master. Yes. Okay.
Arg! Ahoy! I would love to.
Yes, Master. Alright. Yes, Master. Alright.
What you want me to? You the boss. Alright. Okay, you the boss. Alright. You got me?
Yes?
Okay, you the boss. Alright. You the boss. Okay.
Yes, Alright. Ahoy!
Very well. Of course. Of course. Very well. Of course. Very well. Yes. Of course, Master.
Huh? Dabu. Yes, Captain?
Yes. Of course, Master. Of course, very course, Master. Of course, Master. Very well.
Work complete.
Very well. Of course. Yes. Very well. Of course. Of course. Very well. Of course. Very well. Of course. Yes. Very well. Very well. Of course.
What you want me to do?
Work complete.
Very well. Yes. Very well. Of course. Very well. Very well. Of course. Very well. Of course. Very well. Of course. Very well. Of course. Very well. Yes. Very well. Of course. Very well. Yes. Of course. Very well. Of course. Very well. Of course. Very well.
You got me, the boss. Alright. You the boss. Okay, the boss. Okay.
Lord Hook. Son.
What?
Yes, Master.
Yes, of course. Very quick. Yes. Very well. Of course. Very well. Make it quick. Of course. Of course. Very well. Very well. Of course.
Okay.
Don't that.
Yes, Master.
Master.
Okay.
Yes,
Make very well. Of course, very well.
Master? Yes, Master. Okay. Yes?